In its depths lies the abyss, a place of mystery that can frighten even the bravest. The sea must be respected along with all that is connected to it, for the graveyards and sunken cities it has claimed are its way of showing us that it rules the fate of the world. Today, we explore the places that hold these stories. In the year 450 BC, a merchant from Corinth decided to extend his products to another culture during the heyday of Greek trade. For months, he prepared a ship for the thriving market of Miletus in Asia Minor, an emerging commercial hub that attracted merchants from all over. His goal was to transport a ship filled with olive oil, wine, and finely crafted ceramics, goods that would be something new. He carefully chose a strategic route that would give him an advantage, crossing the Aegean Sea along an ancient sea route that connected the Gulf of Corinth with the prosperous Greek colonies to the east, passing through the Forni archipelago, a group of islets and rocky cliffs with treacherous waters. With a small crew, he set sail on this vast sea, unaware of its dangers. At first, the journey was smooth, as the ship glided effortlessly across the Aegean, its sails billowing in a promising breeze. Or so it seemed, until the sea rose in a whirlwind of colossal waves. The crew fought desperately to keep the ship under control, but the storm tore the sails apart and rendered the rudder useless. The deafening crash of rocks echoed through the storm, and then disaster struck. The ship lost control and slammed into a jagged rock, sinking to the depths. Thrown into the raging waters, the merchant had a fleeting moment of eerie calm, just a brief instant, when he saw something beneath the waves, an overwhelming number of sunken ships. And in that chilling realization, he knew it would be the last thing he ever saw. This is just one of the many stories to be found in this sea. This site is known as the underwater graveyard of Forni, home to one of the highest concentrations of shipwrecks in the world. It is located in a small archipelago in the eastern Aegean Sea, a cluster of more than 20 islands and islets, many of them uninhabited. Forni was once a strategic point for maritime trade in the Mediterranean. However, its rocky shores, strong winds, and unpredictable currents have caused countless ships to sink over the centuries. The shipwrecks scattered across the area span nearly 3,000 years, from ancient Greece to the Byzantine era, including some more recent wrecks. Yes, even modern ones, despite the tragedy, these wrecks have made a significant contribution to history. Throughout this video, we will explore many tragic places, but ones that have served as important sites for archaeological research. These discoveries help us understand the development of trade and navigation over time. After all, if we have been able to tell the hypothetical story of a merchant, it is because there are records dating back to 450 BC that document the existence of such ships. This was one of the trade routes that connected Greece with Egypt, the Levant, Italy, and North Africa. Even today, remains of amphorae, jars, terracotta lamps, and other artifacts can be found, objects that help to date and trace the origins of these sunken ships. The historical and archaeological value of Forni is immense. The sheer concentration of shipwrecks confirms that it was an important maritime corridor in the Mediterranean, where civilizations once exchanged goods and knowledge. And today, technological advances have allowed us to determine how long these wrecks have been there and to which periods they belong. Who would have thought that something like a graveyard could help us learn more about history and past markets? But believe it or not, this isn't the only fascinating discovery in the Aegean Sea. This Mediterranean Sea, which once connected several islands and was known as a major trade route, also holds some intriguing secrets. One of them is the great city of Kii, a city linked to the legendary Cain, a lost city that remains one of the greatest mysteries of this vast and fascinating sea. Kii was located off the coast of Turkey, or rather it was, but how was it discovered? The answer is surprisingly simple. It wasn't even part of a direct survey. A team of archaeologists and geophysicists from the University of Cologne, Germany, stumbled upon this revelation while conducting an unrelated study. They determined that centuries ago, Kii was an independent island. However, due to the accumulation of sediments over time, it eventually merged with the mainland. Simply put, this discovery provided clear evidence that the area was not only inhabited at some point in history, but also played a role in trade and possibly even ancient warfare. For context, Cain was a modest settlement, but it was known for its large-capacity port. Strategically located on the sea route between the Black Sea and the southern coast of Turkey, it was designed to protect ships from harsh weather conditions. Thus, it became a meeting point for merchants and sailors travelling through the Aegean, making it a busy and safe area. This security was reinforced by its walls and harbour structures, which have been found at the site and confirm one thing: they had a defensive system that was far from accidental. Rather, it was a deliberate response to the need to protect an important commercial hub in a turbulent region. But that didn't stop ambitious individuals from trying to gain control of this strategic location. Controlling this place meant controlling all trade in the area, which inevitably led to numerous conflicts and military takeovers. But one event stands out: the Great Naval Battle of 46 BC between the forces of Athens and Sparta. This battle was so significant that it shook the entire Aegean basin, yet for a long time there was little concrete evidence of it. The battle was known mostly through written accounts debated by scholars, with only a few remains of defensive structures suggesting that such a confrontation took place in the region. In fact, there were even doubts about the existence of this port and the area itself. To verify these claims, archaeological remains alone weren't enough. More information was needed. Geologists and archaeologists decided to conduct underground drilling and analyze geological samples. Their findings confirmed the existence of a natural bridge formed by sediment accumulation. The discovery of architectural remains, wall structures, and traces of an ancient harbour. All of this evidence helped reconstruct the commercial and military framework of the time with astonishing precision. Every detail in Kai is impressive. It is a small sample of what the ancient world was like, and the aspects that most characterized it. And this enclave once had a civilization in constant motion. This makes it a place to study the interactions between trade and warfare that built the culture, and even today the research continues, and it is expected that new findings will better explore those things that are not yet understood about this system of trade networks and the influence on warfare. Let's take a giant leap into the future. Throughout history, we've seen fascinating maritime events. This video has already explored some of them, from underwater cemeteries to naval battles. But what we have here combines a bit of both, or rather, presents a mystery surrounding one particular ship. We're talking about the Hanukkah Rome, a once great merchant ship that sank in the Baltic Sea in 1468 for reasons that are still unclear. It took with it not only the lives of its passengers and crew, but also a treasure of incalculable value that remains lost in the depths to this day. Or so we believe. On November 20th, 1468, the Hanukkah Rome set sail from Lübeck, one of the main cities of the Hanseatic League, bound for Tallinn, Estonia. This large trading ship was tasked with transporting valuable goods throughout the extensive Hanseatic trading network that dominated Northern Europe during the Middle Ages. Perhaps that's why its disappearance was such a big deal, but it wasn't just the loss itself that made it so notorious. It was what the ship was carrying. Its cargo was vital to the economy of the time, including honey, textiles, and, most importantly, 10,000 gold florins. That was an enormous fortune to be lost at sea for any length of time, and, of course, an irresistible target for certain eyes. To put it in perspective, that amount of gold would be worth around 50 million euros today, an absolutely staggering sum. This meant that the ship's route had to be meticulously planned for security reasons to ensure a smooth passage across the Baltic Sea. But in those days, there were no radar systems or meteorological forecasts. So the question remains, what caused the sinking? Pirates? Privateers? Enemy sailors? No one human was responsible for the ship's demise. A violent storm, unexpected due to the lack of meteorological knowledge, struck with devastating force. Unable to withstand nature's fury, the Hanukkah Rome succumbed to the waves and quickly sank, taking 200 passengers and crew with it, along with a treasure that could have had a significant impact on the economy of the time. But why was this ship so important? The answer lies in its historical context. In the 15th century, the Hanseatic League was a powerful alliance of merchant cities that dominated maritime trade in northern Europe. They controlled key routes linking Scandinavia, Germany, the Netherlands, and the Baltic Sea to Russia and beyond. The Hanukkah Rome was an essential part of this trade network, but it didn't just carry material goods. It carried a significant proportion of the League's financial wealth. Its loss was a catastrophic blow to these cities, shaking their economies to an unprecedented degree. And as the centuries passed, this event was never forgotten, becoming a legend and sparking a search for the location of this merchant ship, but more importantly, for its treasure. Long and extensive searches began to find what was left of it, but for many years these efforts ended in failure. Even with today's great advances, shipwrecks have been discovered, but never specifically the Hanukkah Rome. Shifting ocean currents and the ever-changing geography of the seabed have made it difficult to pinpoint her exact location. However, some reports suggest that a shipwreck found near Raisborg, Finland, may match historical descriptions of the Hanukkah Rome. But since there has been no official confirmation, the mystery of this ship remains a massive mystery. Pavlopetri, the lost city under the sea, beneath the blue veil of the Mediterranean Sea, off the coast of Laconia in the Peloponnese, lies a truly unique place, one from a distant past. This place is Pavlopetri, the oldest submerged city in the world, dating back more than 5,000 years. It stands as a remarkable archaeological discovery, impressing experts simply because of how well it has been preserved. But beyond its amazing preservation, Pavlopetri was an incredibly advanced civilization, reaching a midpoint in technological development. Imagine diving into its crystal-clear waters and encountering this vast construction just a few feet below the surface. 15 structures that once served as homes, trade centers, and places of worship. A place sculpted with millimeter precision, where the deeper explorers delved, the more they were amazed by its exquisite urban planning. From well-defined streets to open courtyards, the layout of the city suggests a highly complex and organized social fabric. The more this place was explored, the more amazing it became. Just by looking at a scene from the past, a ruined landscape, you could uncover so much. And despite its limitations, it had incredibly modern systems, some of which are still in use in our cities today. And while no paintings or artistic relics were found, we did get a glimpse of their culture through something no one had ever imagined: tombs carved into the rock where they buried their loved ones. These tombs provided crucial insights into their culture, trade, techniques, rituals, and much about the people who once lived there. But there was one thing that neither art nor culture could explain. How did this city end up under the sea? Had it been swallowed by a terrible earthquake? If so, why weren't the buildings destroyed? Did the sea level just rise? And if so, how did it rise so much? Some experts believe it was a combination of both, but the exact cause remains unknown. There are only theories, simple explanations that don't provide a complete answer. What is certain is that this was a city with a rich culture and an advanced society, so advanced that even their tombs were custom-made for each individual. However, over the years, researchers have been able to reconstruct the city in great detail and have gained a better understanding of how it functions. Armed with imaging and scanning technology, they have explored the submerged streets and reconstructed, even if it is a puzzle of an ancient way of life. Every discovery, from architectural remains to small offerings and everyday tools, has contributed to our knowledge. But one question still hangs in the air. Could this have been the legendary city of Atlantis so often described in ancient times? Let us know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe and like.